Good morning, everyone. Buenos días, mi gente. My name's Lynette Correa Velez, and I'm the Vice President of Leadership Programs at HACE. HACE is the Hispanic Alliance for Career Enhancement. We're a national nonprofit founded in 1982. Our goal is to positively impact the American workplace by cultivating the pipeline of Latino talent, providing Latino professionals the insight, access, and support to be successful in their careers. We are able to have some phenomenal guests in our Cafecito con HACE. Today, we will be interviewing the Director of HR of the Hyatt Hotels Corporation subsidiary, Kayla Kruger. But before we get into interviewing Kayla, I do have about 3 different announcements that I want to make sure you all have access to. And so the first one, next Thursday, November 7th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. is our ERG Symposium, The link will be posted in the chat. Please make sure you are able to virtually attend or share within your respective networks that we are hosting the ERG Symposium next Thursday, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. Next, we will have our virtual inclusion series, another year, new opportunities, next the following Wednesday, the 13th, from 11:30 to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, free and open to the public, obviously virtual. Want to make sure you all know that. And then last, but certainly not least, we have our end of year campaign running until December 31st. As I mentioned, we're a national nonprofit, so your donations and support are highly appreciated. So let's get right into it. Kayla, how are you feeling today? ¿Qué está pasando?
Everything's great. Excited to be here. Thank you all so much for having me. I feel so fortunate to be able to connect with you and have this wonderful platform today.
Absolutely. So I know I'm ready with my cafecito. Gonna sip like this, like that Kermit the Frog meme. But how do you like your cafecito or morning beverage of choice? Let the public know.
Yeah, no, I love café con leche and azúcar. Sugar is a big thing for me. I cannot do it. And when I'm at work, I have to have it in one of these because on the weekends at home, I will warm up that mug 100 times. But at work, I don't have that privilege all the time. So I'll just be running around with this. And sometimes I'll fill it up, but one is usually enough for the whole day because it just stays super warm for me. But run around with this, and everybody knows it's mine. I put my name on it, but if someone finds it randomly, they just deliver it whenever they can as well. So that's great.
Oh, I love that. And that's one of those insulated cups that
Yes, an insulated cup, and I love it. Like it stays warm the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
I can sip at it all day, and it makes me feel like when I need to relax, just take that little sip, and it feels good. But again, like the sweet cafecito con leche, it's always great for me.
Well, as a director of HR, I know you need a little bit of caffeine burst for your day. So tell us a little bit more about your cultural and professional background. Feel free to share your various intersecting identities.
Yeah, thank you. So I am a first generation Mexican American. I am a mom to 2 beautiful children. I am a wife. I am an oldest sister as well of 5 siblings. And it's really amazing, to be here. I currently work for Hyatt Hotels. I've been with them for 15 years. I just opened, it's going to be 1 month here coming up this Saturday, November 2nd, that we opened Thompson Palm Springs, located in Palm Springs, California. So I just can't believe that we're here today with this beautiful property in downtown Palm Springs. And I am so excited to share this beautiful resort, or an urban resort is what we call it. And we are just been so guests have been coming in, locals have been coming in like crazy. They're so excited for our product. So we're excited to continue to share that as well.
Wonderful. And you're from California as well, and you live and work in California?
Yes. So I grew up in the Coachella Valley. So it used to be farm town galore. It is now hospitality is now the #1 employer. But I grew up here in Coachella. and then lived outside of after college. I moved out and moved to Seattle, and I lived in Seattle for about 8 or 9 years, and then lived in North Lake Tahoe, Reno area. I worked in a couple of our hotels back there, and then about 2 years ago now, moved to back to the Palm Springs, where all my family lives. It was a mix of different things. I've had the opportunity to come back to be with family, and I think that was really important for us when we moved back. So my husband's parents are also retiring in the area, so it just really made sense for us to come home.
Absolutely. And family, home is where the family is located, right? So you are getting some amazing national love. I see folks chiming in from, let me see, South Florida, Houston, Texas. A ver, Augustina Arena says she is your fan. So I don't know if you know that person, but thank you for that morning love.
Thank you, Agustina. She's
Um,
right now my friend. She's in Barcelona right now, so I don't know what time it is. So thanks, Agustina.
That is amazing. I've been there once. It's beautiful. And Nashville, Tennessee. So please share if you are watching. Where are you watching from? What city, state, or outside of the US are you watching Cafecito con Acid today? So, first question or next question. Looking back on your career with the Hyatt, you've been with Hyatt for 15 years. What are some key experiences that have shaped your growth in the hospitality industry, and how did you overcome them, particularly in HR?
Yeah. I started with in hospitality as a housekeeper. That was my first job out of high school. I wanted a job. That's the job I got, and that was great. And then I was able to move through different food and beverage outlets and things like that. When I finally graduated from college and moved to Seattle, I was working in our maintenance department and as an administrative assistant for a couple of years, and got to a point where I was like, I should really like choose a career because I don't think I'm going to be like a maintenance manager. My degree is from Cal Poly Pomona, and it's I have an English language and literature and a marketing minor. And I was like, I'm not sure exactly what to do with that because that's what I chose. I could Cal Poly has a great hospitality program, but don't I could not tell you exactly why I didn't go for that. But I think once I got there and I started to try to figure out what I wanted to do, I was really between like finance and HR, just because I was like, that sounds great, and HR just kind of called a little bit more for me. And as I tried to actually get my foot in the door while I was already within Hyatt, it was difficult. They were like, you don't really have the right experience or right knowledge. There wasn't a transitional role, like a coordinator or something that I could transition into. So what I did is I went back to school. I was like, okay, well then let me take some classes at our local community college. And we have tuition reimbursement, so they help pay for it. So I did a couple classes on recruiting, like a talent acquisition, like just HR general to have a better understanding. And a lot of the people in the office were really like, let's like, how do we help you answer questions? And maybe we can just get you in. And eventually, the director was going to go on a leave because she was having a baby, and they were like, we're going to have this temporary role. And I was like, and I was like, but it's not guaranteed. I was like, you know what, I'll take it, and then I'm sure I'll do great, and like you guys will want me. And that was my mentality, right? And then as I got in, and 4 months in, they're like, yes, you're doing great, let's promote you to a manager. And I was so excited. But it was a lot of it came from just being like, okay, I'm not going to allow them to be like, no, you're not ready. Well, like, how can I be ready? Give me the steps. What can I do? And sometimes it was like pounding on doors, like just, I did this, I did that, and just kind of having to hype myself up. And I really had to learn that. And even in some of those roles, like some of the people that were like not sure are now some of my biggest cheerleaders and the progress that I'm making and how I'm moving along. So it's really cool to see that transition of like, maybe, and then they're like, yes, we know you can do anything that you put your mind to. And I'm really thankful for that they saw that and they didn't let like previous thoughts get in their head. And they're like, no, no, look, si se puede. I always say that. That's my big slogan. So I'm like, si puede, like she can do it. Let's keep her going. Things like that.
Oh no, I absolutely love that. I mean, si se puede, that's from the powerful Dolores Huerta,
Mhm.
una poderosa. So appreciate that you say that as well for yourself and in your career. Something I understand from what you just said is you have to be your best evangelist, right?
Mhm.
And you have to raise your hand because nobody's going to push your hand up to be raised for opportunities. So kudos to you and speaking up for yourself
Yeah.
and being your best champion. But I would imagine that there's also folks that have been, as you just mentioned, your champion as well. So,
Mhm.
what aspects of the Hyatt culture have had the most significant impact on your career? And how do you see those particular values influencing the way you lead as an HR leader and work with others today?
Yeah. I think I just like looked at, I've had a lot of really wonderful leaders and I looked at each person and what they brought to the table. I've had a lot of great female leaders. I've seen, not that I worked with one female leader that was Latina as well. That was great. And I took from her, I took for some amazing, like, HR leaders overall, a lot of them female, excuse me, a lot of mothers. And I was like, trying to figure out from each of them what it was important for me and what I could take from. I was like, one of them, I know that my director, Melissa over in Tahoe, she has the most empathy I've ever met in a person. I was like, I want to be empathetic because during some of the hardest times in my life, she had so much empathy and support. Catherine Barajas, who just pushed me to be like, I remember telling her I'm pregnant and I don't know what to do. And she's like, it's going to be fine. You're going to be great. And and I was like, yes, I am. I'm going to be great. And then Priscilla, who's one of the from Latinas Rising Up in Shar, who I didn't actually meet till 2023, but had kind of connected virtually for 10 years. And she was just like, keep connecting. So all these wonderful women who just continue to pursue and push really allowed me to take the best parts of them and build myself into who I wanted to be, and the support that I want to provide, and the empathy that I want to share, and sometimes the being stern, and I had to learn that about when is a good time to have like be more tie everything with the bow. When is it a good time to do that? When is it a good time to be like, we need to really talk about this and be strategic about it. And even sometimes even at this stage of my life, I need to be told like I'm doing a good job and that there people are proud of me, and there is that conversation. And not just the leaders, but the colleagues I work with and the people that have been side by me, or and that I've been able to work with together and grow together, and we see each other in this part of our lives, and see where everybody's at. I have some really friends in Columbus. I have friends in Europe now from this, and it is just seeing everybody kind of come together and grow. We're all growing together. It's been really wonderful, and just be able to develop that and keep that going. And how do I, feed that to other people, tell them the positivity. Don't let people take that away from you. I say, if you're positive, like continue to be that person.
Absolutely. I mean, I love what you just said. You take certain aspects of mentors, sponsors, and femtors,
Mm-hmm.
so female identified mentors, and you take that as your own based on the kind of leader that you want to be in the workplace, right? So I really love that. Shout out to Priscilla Guaso, who was a guest of ours not too long ago at Cafecito con HACE. She's the founder and CEO of Latinas Rising Up in HR. Her book's out, so please take a look and purchase for yourself or for others. So we're nearing the end. I'm wondering if anyone has any questions from the chat. I do see some other comments here. You got a yay from Cal Poly Pomona. Who was that? I want to make sure. Rebecca Mejia. I don't know if you know that person. Southern California is representing, and Lisandra Jimenez stated, started from the bottom and now you're here. So you got some shout out and some hip hop connections there, which I appreciate.
I
Which is
love
true,
that.
right? I mean, it takes a certain level of belief in oneself to go from where you are and head to where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
So I really appreciate that about your journey.
Yeah, and
Um,
then just to do a shameless plug, I
yeah.
was an author for Latinas in HR for Volume 2. So
Hey!
I know that our goal is for, these books we sell not for any personal gain, but it is really to go towards our scholarship programs. And we really have this really amazing network of women. And again, I don't think until I was able to join this organization and really see it come to fruition that I was like, oh my God, there's people that look like me and sound like me in many ways, have different similar stories,
That's
have
right.
similar backgrounds, or just look have the long dark hair, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
That made me realize just how much I could do. And seeing this, the third edition executive, I was like, before I got into volume 2, I was like, I was like, I didn't know I could be a director. And now
Wow.
I'm like, wow, I can be a VP. And obviously seeing you're a VP, I'm like, ooh, we talked to all these wonderful people. And it's something that even at like I'm 34 and I'm like,
Yeah.
I can still dream and I can still have these
Oh, yeah.
ambitions. When you think you hit a plateau, but you continue to have these ambitions, and because you see other people that are doing it and are thriving, and that's what it looks like. So thank you. I just wanted to
No,
talk about there.
absolutely. I mean, it is representation is important in the workplace, particularly for Latinas and in HR, and of course in every industry. I do have a question from the chat. What helped you have the courage to ask for what you wanted to move up in your field, or what you needed to move up in your field?
Yeah, I think my thought process has always been like my dad didn't cross borders for me to be complacent, right? And like we were like I'm glad that he got like he goes back and forth as he pleases now. He's very like, he got all the documentation, but I think about that he didn't do all that for me to just be like this is good enough. And it's also it's a vice at the same time, because then we're like I need to do so much. I need to do everything because I can't let anybody down. But there's already so much pride and so much happiness in what I do. I don't know that my family fully understands what I do. My brothers would be like, "You're in HR." I'm like, "Dude, I've been in HR for like so long," and they're always like, these different things. But I think it's talking to other people that were in similar situations or that have already overcome that, and seeing that they did it has helped me really be like, I have to say something and do something, and being able to just have a network of people, and just asking the question of it. Like all they can say is no, and it is hard. I'm not going to say I didn't talk to myself 20 times. I didn't walk in shaking, my hands sweaty, but
Right.
I believed in it. I have to believe that it was the right thing. I had to believe that it was what I needed. I
Yeah,
had to believe that raise is the money that I deserved.
that's right.
I had to believe it, because if I didn't, then I wouldn't been able to advocate that way for myself. But it took a lot of conversations.
Yeah.
So definitely.
Definitely behind the door conversations with others and with oneself,
Hmm.
right? Sometimes we can be our own worst enemy. Familia is a big motivation. It said, the ancestors, Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead is coming up. So that's definitely top of mind for me as well. And then lastly, let's end on a positive note, on a good note. Kayla, what are you hopeful for, or a positive story that gives you hope for this year? I mean, gosh, November's around the corner. It's like less than 7 weeks, chacho, or 8 weeks to end of 2024. What gives you hope?
Before all of it, I just want to give a big shout out to my husband, who has done so much and does so much for me. I love you, Kevin. I
Shout
know
out to
you're
the partners.
watching.
Hmm.
But I think I want to remain positive, and elections coming, things can go many, many ways, but I want to believe that regardless of how that goes, that we are all going to remain kind, because I think that's something that I'm trying to teach my children, kindness. And this election has brought a lot of bad, even in me, the thought process and things like that. But I think it's just, regardless of it, we're like this wonderful place, and we're, as a first generation immigrant, like I know that I love being here. So I just want to continue to remember that there was a lot of sacrifice to get us here, and we need to continue that forward, and have people understand or not, and just live my life, and continue that pursuit of like happiness.
Oh my gosh, I love that so much. Thank you for that, Kayla. Really appreciate you in more ways than one. Can we give Kayla a virtual round of applause? Thank you all so much for tuning in for today's Cafecito con Ace. Have a great one, everyone. Be kind to each other. Gracias.